You're listening to the Dibbly-Dobbly podcast. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to make sure you get the latest episodes of the podcast. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Dibbly-Dobbly podcast. On today's episode of the podcast, we review the second ODI between Australia and Zimbabwe from the Riverway Stadium. It's the Dibbly-Dobbly podcast, and let's get started. Let's have a look at the match summary from the second ODI between Australia and Zimbabwe from the Riverway Stadium. Zimbabwe batted first and were bowled out for 96 in 27.5 overs. Williams top scored with 29. Zampa and Stark took 3 wickets each for Australia. Australia, in the run chase, finished on 2 for 100 from 14.4 overs. Smith top scored with 47 not out. Navarra took 2 wickets for Zimbabwe. Australia won by 8 wickets. And Mitchell Stark was named Player of the Match. What were the key moments and key factors from this second ODI between Australia and Zimbabwe? Australia's bowling Zimbabwe out for 96. Australia's batting, the partnership of 84 unbeaten for the third wicket between Smith and Carey was a key partnership after Australia lost Warner and Finch early on, after Australia were 2 for 16 inside 2.3 overs to guide Australia to victory by 8 wickets. Those were the key moments and key factors from this second ODI at the Riverway Stadium. Let's have a look at both teams' performances in this second ODI at the Riverway Stadium with both bat and ball. We'll start with Australia and their batsmen. Warner, 13, Finch, 1, Smith, 47 not out, and Carey, 26 not out. That's how the Australian batsmen went about things in this second ODI against Zimbabwe. Nothing much to say about the Australian batting. They were chasing 97 runs to win in the end after bowling Zimbabwe out for 96. So pretty much it was a straightforward run chase in the end. It was a dominant batting display from Australia compared to Game 1 when they were chasing 200 in Game 1. But chasing 96 in Game number 2 was pretty much an easy run chase for Australia in the end. Australia lost Warner and Finch early and were 2 for 16 inside 2.3 overs. But the partnership of 84 unbeaten for the third wicket between Smith and Carey got Australia over the line and got them to the total with ease. So nothing much to add on to the Australian batting performance. I thought Steve Smith batted well, 47 not out. He's backing up his good performance from Game 1, which was 48 not out. So at least Steve Smith's being consistent, doing his role at number 3, being that anchor. And that's what he did again in Game number 2 when Australia lost a couple of wickets. He was there, just steering the ship home for Australia with Alex Carey. And I thought Alex Carey batted well for his 26 not out and making most of his opportunities given to him, especially being batted up the order at number 4, obviously. So that's a big responsibility for Carey, making sure he's scoring runs at number 4. Australia think he could be an option at number 4 for them for that World Cup next year in India. But I thought he batted well for his 26 not out. Good partnership with Steve Smith in the end. You'd probably say the one biggest talking point of the Australian batting innings is Aaron Finch. Yet again, the Australian captain missed out. So far in the series, he scored 15 and 1 thus far in the series. So 16 runs for the series ain't good. A lot of people were expecting him to probably score some runs against Zimbabwe, given how the gap between the two sides is quite massive in terms of quality, in terms of the quality of the two teams. He's missed out 15 and 1, so his form slump continues. So definitely for Aaron Finch, heading into Game 3, he is under pressure. He needs to score some runs. Hopefully he can. But a lot of people are getting quite restless about his spot in the team and about his captaincy. So for Aaron Finch, definitely he missed out again. He's got to grab the other opportunity in Game 3. Otherwise, the pressure's going to keep mounting on him. So that was the only talking point from the Australian innings. Aaron Finch failing again with the bat. But besides from that, it was a pretty straightforward run chase for Australia. It was pretty dominant. Bowling Zimbabwe out for 96 was a good result. Needing 97 to win was an easy run chase in the end. So overall, it was a good, solid, dominant batting display from Australia. Let's have a look at the Australian bowlers and their performance in this second ODI. No wickets for Stoinis, 2 wickets for Green, a wicket for Ashton Agar, 3 wickets for Stark and Zampa, and a wicket for Josh Hazlewood. So that's how the Australian bowlers went about things in this second ODI, and it was pretty much a clinical bowling display from Australia. The quality of the attack that they have, they were always going to cause problems to the Zimbabwean batsmen throughout this series. And all the bowlers did their job. They all took wickets. Bowling Zimbabwe out for 96 was a good performance with the ball. I thought Australia did the basics well with the ball. They bowled dot balls. They built pressure on the Zimbabwean batsmen by bowling dot balls and taking wickets, and they were executing their skills with the ball quite nicely. So, in the end, it was a pretty dominant display of bowling from Australia, really. I thought Mitchell Starc bowled well. He took the first 3 wickets of the innings to set the tone of the innings for Australia. That's his job, Mitchell Starc. Bowled the first few overs of the innings, looked to swing that new ball, looked to take wickets and poles early. And that's what he did. And when he's on, Mitchell Starc, he's on and he can be dangerous. And that's what we saw in this second game against Zimbabwe. 3 for 24 is not bad. I thought Adam Zampa bowled well. Again, another 3-wicket haul for him. Took 3 wickets in the first game. He's got 3 again in the second. Australia dearly missed him in Sri Lanka. But it's good to have Adam Zampa back and taking wickets. So good to see him bowling well. Josh Hazlewood, Cameron Green, Ashton Agar all bowled well. They all chipped in with a wicket. Marcus Stoinis was the only one who didn't take a wicket in the end. But he bowled okay for the few overs he bowled, only conceding 9 runs. In the end, it wasn't a big difference in terms of Australia winning or losing this match because they bowled Zimbabwe out for 96. So I think it was a good bowling display from the Australian bowlers. They'll be quite pleased with their performance. They'll be looking at the areas to improve on. There's definitely a lot of areas they can improve on, but overall it was a good bowling performance from Australia, and overall it was a good all-round performance from Australia in this second ODI against Zimbabwe. Let's have a look at Zimbabwe's team performance with both bat and ball in this second ODI at the Riverway Stadium. We'll start with their batsmen, Kaya 2, Maramandi 4, Mahir 0, Williams 29, Raza 17, Chaveka 10, and Marionga 10. That's how their batsmen performed in this second ODI against Australia-Zimbabwe. Nothing much to talk about the Zimbabwean batting innings. It was pretty poor. It was a poor performance with the bat from Zimbabwe. Getting bowled out for 96 is not a good batting display. It was quite poor. Zimbabwe lost wickets at regular intervals, 1 for 13, 2 for 13, 3 for 14, 4 for 46, 5 for 59, 6 for 79, 7 for 83, 8 for 93, 9 for 95, and all out for 96. Not too many big partnerships in the innings at all for Zimbabwe. 13, 0, 1, 32, 13, 20, 4, 10, 2 and 1. There was poor shot selection from the batsman, lack of application with the bat from the batsman, and overall it was just a disappointing batting display. Nothing much to talk about for Zimbabwe with the batting. They'll be disappointed, Zimbabwe. We always imagined that this was going to happen. If Australia did take wickets early on in the power play, which they did, it was always going to be a batting collapse of some sort, and that's what happened with Zimbabwe in game number 2. It just fell away, really. There was no momentum in the innings. Batsmen were getting in, getting out. As I said, there was poor shot selection, lack of game awareness as well from the batting group. And Williams and Raza consolidated. They were looking to build a partnership, and then Raza got out for 17, and then it all fell away again for Zimbabwe there. And then once Australia got into the tail enders, it was pretty much it. And that was the end of the Zimbabwean innings. So Zimbabwe got a lot of areas to improve on. There's definitely a big gap in quality with the batsmen compared to Australia, compared to Zimbabwe. But I think it's a good thing for Zimbabwe to experience this. Obviously, getting bowled out for 96 is not great from any batting side. But for the batsmen, it's all about learning from this experience, learning from what has happened. Where do we go wrong? How can we get better? How can we improve? And that's the key for Zimbabwe in this series. It's all about trying to get better and improve against Australia. No one has high expectations of them in this series, but it's all about trying to get better and improve. And for the batsmen, can they put in a better performance in game number 3? I hope they do. And we saw in game 1 that they did the basics well at times. and they were looking to get a total of 250 or 260, but in the end, they had that batting collapse towards the end and they got bowled out for 200. So they've got the skills, they've got the talent there. It's just about how they put that all together in a complete batting performance. And what we saw just wasn't good enough. So hopefully the batsmen can get better for Game 3. But overall, it was a disappointing batting performance from Zimbabwe. Let's have a look at the bowlers' performance for Zimbabwe in this second ODI against Australia in Townsville. No wickets for Williams, no wickets for Raza, no wickets for Longwe, no wickets for Evans, and 2 wickets for Navarra. That's how the Zimbabwean bowlers performed in this second ODI against Australia. Defending 96 was always going to be tough for the Zimbabwean bowlers. Whenever you get bowled out for under 100, it's always going to be tough defending that. But I thought they did well to take 2 early wickets, and that was all thanks to Richard Navarra. He was the standout bowler for Zimbabwe, picking up 2 for 16. He got Warner for 13 and Finch for 1 early on. So he gave Zimbabwe a bit of hope in the run chase that something miraculous could happen. Unfortunately, that didn't eventuate, and Australia chased down the runs with ease in the end, with Smith and Carey adding that partnership of 84 unbeaten for the 3rd wicket. For Zimbabwe, it was a poor bowling performance. Apart from Navarra, everyone else went for runs, a bit inconsistent, didn't build pressure. But as I said, it was always going to be tough defending 96, no matter what bowling attack you have. It's always going to be tough defending that, and you always back the batting side to get the runs with ease, and that's what Australia did. They chased down the runs with ease. The Zimbabwean bowlers were bowling poor deliveries. They were under pressure, and whenever you're defending a low score of 96, for example, like in Game 2 for Zimbabwe, the bowlers are always going to be under pressure from ball 1 because they know we can't bowl loose deliveries. They were inconsistent. Australia pounced on those loose deliveries and were able to hit boundaries and really up the ante and be aggressive. So overall, it was a poor bowling performance from Zimbabwe. Overall, it was a disappointing performance from Zimbabwe in game number 2 of this ODI series against Australia. Let's preview the 3rd ODI of this series between Australia and Zimbabwe from the Riverway Stadium. Talk about the potential 11s for both teams and who's going to win this 3rd ODI. So the overall stats between Australia and Zimbabwe at the Riverway Stadium after 2 games. Australia leading 2-0 in that regard. Let's talk about Australia's potential 11 for the 3rd ODI of this series against Zimbabwe. I think Australia will keep the same 11. I think that's pretty straightforward. If they want to make some changes, like bring in Marnus Labuschagne or Sean Abbott to give them a go before the New Zealand series, which begins a few days after the last game of this ODI series against Zimbabwe, then they can do that because they've already won the series. They're probably favourites to win the last game as well. So, if they want to make some changes, they can. But I think they'll keep the same 11. Give Ashton Agar another opportunity. He came into the side in Game 2 to replace Mitchell Marsh, who was injured with that ankle complaint. Or injury. So I think they'll keep the same 11. So their potential 11 for the 3rd ODI could be Warner, Finch, Smith, Carey, Stoinis, Green, Maxwell, Ashton Agar, Stark, Samper and Hazelwood. So that could be Australia's potential 11 for the 3rd ODI against Zimbabwe. Let's have a look at the potential 11 for Zimbabwe for this 3rd ODI of the series. I think Zimbabwe may make one change to their 11 for the 3rd ODI of this series against Australia. I don't think they'll make too many changes in the batting department, despite getting bowled out for 96 in Game 2. I think they'll keep that the same. I think they'll probably make a change in the bowling, probably bring back Blessing Musabandi for maybe Brad Evans. He was a bit expensive, Evans, in this second game of the series. So if Musabandi's fit, raring to go, they'll probably include him into the 11 for Brad Evans, maybe. So Zimbabwe's potential 11 for the 3rd ODI could be Kaya, Muramandi, Mahir, Williams, Raza, Chaveka, Mayonga, Biol, Longwe, Musabandi, and Navarra. So that could be Zimbabwe's potential 11 for the 3rd ODI against Australia. Who's going to win this 3rd ODI at the Riverway Stadium? You probably think Australia are probably going to win this last game of the series and probably win the series 3-0. I think that's probably what everyone's expecting will happen. By far, Australia's the strongest team. Zimbabwe, there's definitely a lot of areas for them to improve on. But you'll probably have to say Australia will probably win this last game and win the series 3-0. What can we expect from both teams heading into the third ODI at the Riverway Stadium? Australia will be happy with this victory and delighted that they have won the series. But Australia will be looking at ways to improve and get better heading into Game 3 of the series. Zimbabwe will be disappointed at this performance in Game 2. They will be looking to learn from Game 2 heading into Game 3 and will be hoping to put in a better performance with both bat and ball in Game 3. And will be looking to finish off the series and the tour of Australia on a high. It was a convincing victory by Australia, winning by 8 wickets and claiming the series with one game still to play. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell to get the latest episodes of the podcast, and like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. Until next time, keep safe and bye for now.